Hi, today I want to share how to block print on fabric with acrylic paint. So I want to go over the tools and materials I have here to work on that. First, I have an iron to iron your fabric. You want your fabric to be super flat and smooth when you block print on it so that it doesn't create a wonky print. I have a piece of cotton muslin fabric that's been washed so that all the sizing is out of it. A tabletop ironing board, a pan to lay out the paint, a pair of scissors, a pencil, a paintbrush, a brayer. This will roll the paint onto your block print. The block print that I made in this video, go ahead and check that out if you want to make your own block for printing. I have two different kinds of textile medium. This is a Liquitex and this is a Delta Ceram Coat. You can use either brand. There are a lot of different brands on the market. These are just the ones that I have on hand. And then I have a couple different colors of liquid acrylic paint. Looks like they are glossy, apple barrel acrylic paint. So to get started, you want to iron your fabric. So I'm going to set these things aside and set up my little tabletop ironing board to iron the fabric out. Make sure to be careful of the iron as you're working with it. Don't get burned. Okay, so I'll iron this out by laying out my fabric. I like this tabletop ironing pad because I can use it on any craft table. It's super portable, small enough to store and pull out whenever I'm doing a quick project. So if your fabric, this fabric here has some deep wrinkles and it's going to be hard to get those out just by one ironing. So if that happens, that's okay. Just get as much of the wrinkle out as you possibly can and maybe get in there with a squirt bottle and spray down the wrinkle and iron over it until it disappears. Okay, so I'm going to call this good for this project. And now I'll turn off my iron and set it aside. And move my ironing board. So now my fabric is ready to go. And before I start block printing, I'll lay a piece of cardboard underneath to catch any of the bleed through of the paint. So set that aside and let's work on our paint mixture. So right on this cookie sheet, I'm going to put my paint. You can use a piece of glass for the paint surface or a platter. I have a cookie sheet because it's flat and I can roll easily on it. And the acrylic paint washes off quite easily, so it's okay to use a dish or a pan. So for textile medium and acrylic paint, the reason you use both of these is that the textile medium basically converts acrylic paint into a fabric paint. So without textile medium, acrylic paint will just wash out of your fabric. If you want this to be washproof, you need to add the textile medium so that it is, that when you wash the fabric, it will stay in the fabric. So you want equal parts textile medium and acrylic paint. And I'm going to do two different colors here. So let's do purple and red. So I have a dot of textile medium there. And I'm going to put an equal size dot of acrylic paint right next to it. And then do the same with a purple dot. Okay, and then take the paintbrush and mix up the textile medium and the paint on the cookie sheet, and you'll want to wash out your paintbrush in between mixes. And I'm brushing it together and it's kind of spreading out, and that's okay because you'll be spreading it out with the brayer. And then I'll do the red. Okay, and that looks good. Then I'll kind of sweep it out a bit on the surface so it's more even for the brayer to pick up. So I have a piece of cardboard here, box. I'm gonna pull out flat, and I'll put it under my fabric. Okay, so I will be printing in the area of the fabric that is on top of the cardboard. Grab your brayer and your block print and put that next to your paint, and then add paint to your brayer. You might have to use your finger to kind of get the brayer started moving because the paint is slick. So once your brayer is full of paint, you're going to kind of do a quick brush off to the side to even it out, and then roll it over the surface of your block. Like so. So my block is loaded up with paint. Now I'll come over here, lay out my fabric, and I'll hover over the fabric where I want to set the block, and then go straight down. Place it straight down. And then use the palm of your hand, careful not to move the block around, and press down on the block all the way around the block so that you get all of the layers of the block to meet the fabric. And then, careful to keep your painty fingers out of the way, gently grab one edge of the block and lift away. And there's our first print. And now if you want to do the same color again, go ahead and go in, add some paint to your brayer. Roll it on. Back to your fabric. Place it down. And then lift up. And there's the second one. Now, if you don't have a brayer or you don't want to use a brayer, you can use the paintbrush to brush paint onto your block. Do it carefully so you don't get paint into the cracks. And to do that, I'll just hold the brush at an angle and gently swipe it over the surface of the block. Sometimes I find the paintbrush gives a more even layer of paint than the brayer does. So then I'll go to my fabric again, place it down, and then lift up, like so. Okay, now I'm going to switch colors. And I like using the brush there, so I'm just going to use the brush without washing it out to apply purple paint. So I'll just create a layer of paint on the paintbrush so that it's not gloppy, so it'll just spread over the surface. And I'm gently just pulling it across the surface of the block. And this one will have some red and some purple in it because I'm mixing the two. Go into your fabric, and I'm going to offset this one. And you can block print in layers on top of each other. You can offset your print. I like how the color there was a little bit mixed. You can do pretty much whatever design you want, whatever layout you want. This is your fabric, so lay it out however you want it to look. Oh, and if you get a little smudge, like I just touched it with a painty finger, that's okay. We'll hopefully catch it in a print later on. So I think what I'm going to do here is continue with this purple and red for one more and get my row of 3, put another one right here, and then I'll go to a straight purple and I'll kind of have a variegation. Okay, and now for purple. And I kind of lost that middle section, so I'll make sure to catch that on the next round. When I do the next print, catch that with the paintbrush by just making sure you get paint there. And you can go in with a small paintbrush and add in paint. Just go in and touch it up if you want to. That it doesn't always look the same, and so I don't like to do that usually. I like the more organic look of the block print. So there we go, 3 rows of block printing. And we can hang this up to dry. If you hang this up, pin it up on a clothesline or lay it over a chair to dry somewhere where the bleed through won't be a problem. It will dry within 24 hours. Allow it to dry completely for 24 hours, and then you want to heat set it by running an iron over the top of it one more time to set the paint. So once it's dry, run the iron over top of it, allow that to cool off, and your material will be ready to go through the wash, and your print will stay put. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, subscribe below and check out my website, Textile Indie, where I talk more about block printing, basket weaving, and other fiber arts.